What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know, I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertaining, today on the program, I have the Shrubs. Who are the Shrubs, you ask? Tra-la-la. Have you been under a rock somewhere? Well, you're going to find out more about the Shrubs in the next few minutes, so stick around. This week's shows, well, let's see. On Friday night, I will be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas for the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Now, this is a shortened hours Rab. For some reason, COVID-19 only comes out after 11 p.m., so all the bars and restaurants have to close by 11 p.m., So, yeah, I guess that's how viruses work. After 11 p.m., they come out and start creeping around. So the Rab will only be open till 11 p.m., not the usual 1 or 2 in the morning. So we have shortened Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam hours from 7:30 to 10:30 this Friday night, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Also, they have a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. I'm not even sure if they're going to have the pool tournament on Friday night. But, hey, there'll be pool tables if you want to play some pool while you're waiting to sing on stage right near me. I don't say right next to me, 6 feet away. Hey, I may sound like I'm joking, but my goodness, we got to take care of each other. So, yes, we have precautions. Wear a mask on the way in. And wear a mask while you're walking around, when you're interacting with people. But while you're having your drinky drinks and your good food, the kitchen is open. They have, they got burgers, pizza, and chicken wings. Those are my favorite. So don't eat all the chicken wings. You know I want some, right? Okay. But while you're drinking your drinks and you're having your food, you can always pull the mask down so you can get at your mouth. Okay? But, got to try to keep each other safe until this vaccine or this cure or this treatment goes worldwide. I know that they're just now making up some vaccines, and hopefully they sound pretty promising. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to some news shows and reading some news, and the vaccines that are coming out, they seem pretty promising. I know in Europe, it seems like they're going to start using one of the vaccines. So I guess they'll be the guinea pigs of the world. But it seems like their version of the Food and Drug Administration has deemed this vaccine to be safe enough for wide use. So good luck, UK. I hope everything works out well. And we lick this COVID-19. Wait, don't lick it. It's probably not a good idea. Don't lick it. All right, that's enough intro. Be at the Rab Friday night, 7:30 to 10:30 on Friday night at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Be there. Come out and play with us. I mean, if you're feeling sick or if you're feeling scared, stay home. That's the advice I've been given, all since February, really, since March. Is if you feel sick, if you feel apprehensive about going out and being amongst people, stay home. Stay home. There's other ways to interact with folks. You can do stuff online and talk to people. FaceTime somebody, But if you're feeling lonely, hey, man, you can always call me, 501-470-6386. I'll probably pick up, especially if you leave a message. I'll probably call you back. All right. Now that's enough intro. Let's get into it with the Shrubs. Now, I got them on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version only of this, I encourage you to check out the video version at youtube.com/user/KeysDAN, or just look up KeysDAN on YouTube and you'll find 3 YouTube channels, but it'll be the one with the Radio What logo right next to me. Yeah. All right, let's get into it with the Shrubs. Skyping the Shrubs now. Now I have all three of you.
I was locked in that original call. I couldn't hear anything, so it all locked up. But sounds good now.
Fantastic, man. I have your three shining faces in front of me. Unfortunately, I think due to the way that this software is working, you won't be able to see me until I put the video out. But I have all three of you, and each time you talk, it'll switch your faces. So each time you talk, well, let's go. Let's start the thing off, I guess. The Shrubs. That's what I have as your name underneath your likeness. And the person that's on the screen right now is Charlie of the Shrubs. Maybe you can introduce yourself, Mr. Charlie.
All right. Thanks, KeysDAN. My name's Charlie. I'm the guitar player for the Shrubs. We've been together, I don't know, 30-something years.
What?
And I'm not the spokesman for the band. We all participate equally, but I'll let the other guys go around and introduce themselves.
Well, since Spike is just off to your left, stage left, according to my pictures, let's go with Spike. Spike, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Spike. Play the drums. Occasionally they let me sing. I primary lyricist for the band songs. And RJ and I originally formed and brought Charlie along shortly thereafter. So that's the exciting Spike for you.
I'm very excited. It's Spike. That's a great name. Anyway, you feel like you're driven into things. Spike.
That's right. Drum.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and last but certainly not least, the smiliest of them all. I've seen your pearlies the whole time that we've been on this call. So he's a very smiley guy. RJ of the Shrubs. Tell the people about who you are.
Okay, so I'm RJ. I've one of the original founding members, as Spike said. I play bass. Occasionally I'll write some lyrics, and I mostly do backup vocals.
Well, fantastic. Now I got a little overview of who the Shrubs are. Now, is it just the three of you in the band?
Yes.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
They all nodded their heads, and me, as a very terrible broadcaster, I should be addressing them one at a time, because if not, it's not like we're in the same room, but I do have the ability to see their faces and read their facial expressions, which is it's almost face to face. It's almost an interview that's face to face, which is great. I like the technology. I like the way this is going. And but I see RJ on the broadcast software, so you must have laughed. You must have been the last person to say a word. It was Charlie, right? Have you been together for 37 years?
Yeah, I think Mike and I started jamming around 1985 or 86, maybe 86, I think it was.
Man,
yeah.
And I'm one for telling you, class of 86 rules. And it feels,
We're surely not in it for the money.
No, I'm class of 86, Western High School, Davie, Florida. So that's where I'm from. But where did you all form? And I'm going to go with Spike on this one. What was the formation of the group? Whereabouts geographically?
So we started in Central New York State, Cortland, Ithaca area. RJ and I met at a community college, and we both happened to strike up a conversation and realize we played instruments, and decided to jam. And through a mutual acquaintance, we met Charlie and brought him on board, and that's really all that happened. It was pretty simple. We weren't in anything for the music other than the fun. And we are decades later.
Actually, there was a little more to it, because I was actually just telling this story yesterday. And KeysDAN, just so you know, yesterday, the interview we were on, we had 5 people, and one was in Germany, one was in Spain, one was in San Diego, and New York. So it got a little crazy. But anyways, I had moved to Florida when I was geez, I don't know, 19. And I was checking out the music scene down there, and I was kind of, looking for a change from New York. So I worked down there at a car dealership because I was, I needed something to pay rent and that. So I tried it, and it was so hot down there. I was like, I don't know. I gave it I think it was a year. And then I said, I'd saved up enough money to get back. And I moved back in with my parents, actually. And my sister happened to be living with my parents at the time. And she knew these guys from college. And she said, you got to go and check these guys out and jam with them. So I was like, I don't know. They're probably into, my sister's music and things like that. But we got together and we hit it off and gelled. And it's been a blast. It's been a big 30-year party, It's been great.
Man, Charlie, that's a long time to be together. I mean, even for a family, families break up. They tend to move away from each other after a while. It's hard to really fathom that a band has been together that long. But then, you see some of the bands that have been together, the legends, the Stones. I can't believe they're still doing it after all these years. Fred and Barney, the Stones. I love the Stones. No, but Charlie, you said that you went to Florida. What part of Florida were you in?
I lived in Orlando, actually. Maitland. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with Orlando?
Oh yeah, I went to Orlando. I remember Church Street. I played at the Edge. That was one of the things back in '94 when I was there. I spent that year playing on Church Street. I was boxing on Church Street at Candyman's gym. Right on the bad side of Church Street, but yeah. Whereabouts did you?
Okay, so were you originally from Florida?
Born and raised in Miami, Florida. I spent a lot of time on South Beach,
Miami.
The Florida Keys, which is where KeysDAN comes from. But
I was going to ask you about that because I thought it was either that or I thought maybe you were a piano player or something. I thought that'd be a cool jazz piano name, KeysDAN.
You know what's funny? I came up with this name probably 2004. Well, no, it had to be 2000, somewhere around the turn of the millennium. And I had a guy in England when I started using it on social media. A guy in England who calls himself KeysDAN says, "I hope you don't mind that I'm using the same name. I'm a piano player." And I said, "You're probably more, it's probably better that you have this name than I do. I got it from living in the Florida Keys. My mom and grandma are still down there. But it seems like we ate a lot of the same dirt. I spent that year, '94 was the year that I was in Orlando, and I remember Kurt Cobain dying, and it was the big news of that year. Oh my goodness, and the Magic, not the Orlando Magic. I remember meeting Shaquille in that same year.
Really?
Yeah, he came to the show at the Edge one time and grabbed my mic, and he says, he kind of mumbled into it. He said, I got skills. I got skills. That was his big rap.
Skills.
Oh, it's big time skills. But no, man, enough about me. What do you guys think of me? No, I'm kidding, man. It's really all about you guys and the Shrubs.
I love the Keys though.
Yeah. I just like to add something about
Please.
The longevity of our band is we're basically three guys who have similar views on the world and similar sense of humor, and we happen to play instruments. Okay. So that's kind of how it really works that long. I mean, you get along. You're friends first and bandmates second. But it works. If you don't get along, it's like a family. If you don't get along, you don't last. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you don't get to choose your family. You get to choose your friends and the people that you stick with. And it tells me that you have kind of a brotherhood, a band of brothers, so to speak. But RJ, you said you liked Florida. You like? Have you been down there much?
Oh yeah, I've camped on Big Pine Key.
Yeah,
and been to there's like some bar that's out there on some out of the way key too. I've been there. I forget the name of it, but probably somewhere I have like a beer mug from there or something.
You know what's funny? You're in Big Pine Key talking about a no-name bar. There's actually
no-name bar. That's it.
No-name key. Yeah, there's no-name key. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah. Heck yeah. That is one of the most famous places. No name. Why wouldn't you take? It's like a horse with no name. You're riding on the horse. Name the horse, man. Name the key. So No Name Key, one of the best bars in the Florida Keys. I never got the chance to work there, but I worked at Holiday Isle in Alamorado, just about 50 miles north. The Florida Keys, just to give you a little geography for the people that are listening, it's about 113 miles long. It's connected by bridges, one road. 66 islands are connected, if I'm not mistaken. But then there's hundreds more islands that are not connected by the overseas highway. But if
I remember correctly, there was only one bridge that went to No Name Key, too.
You got it right. One bridge. And it's pretty much one bridge everywhere. So you think that crime would be a non thing, because how are you going to get away? You either go north or south or you swim. So it's kind of difficult. But are you all in close proximity in New York? Is it somewhere around in the New York area?
Spike and I are about 15 miles apart. RJ's in San Diego.
Wow.
I moved to San Diego a while back, and so we kind of went on hiatus for a while. And when I left, I thought we had pretty much split up, and then all of a sudden, like, Spike is like, "Hey, we're remixing some of the old and updating some of the old tunes," and so. I got involved in that, and now we do everything remotely.
Yeah. Now, Spike, you said you were the main lyricist. When you got together back in '85, you said, and you can correct me after I'm done. But you got together. How long did you did you practice? And then, before you got comfortable enough to play in front of people, and what was the first song that you put out way back when?
Well, I think I can't recall exactly how long we jammed before we actually were comfortable in playing in front of people. But we had friends who had a lot of parties, and kind of got our feet wet doing that. And then we started
house parties.
Yeah, started believing in ourselves. Got paid with beer, so that was there was something for it. And the first original song we ever wrote was called "Another Day Goes By." And that was just something we jammed on, and it happened, and then it turned into a song, and then we said, "Hey, I think we can write songs." So we kind of kept going.
Now, when you're writing this song, and I'm presuming that you wrote this song, did it start off as a poem, or did you go into it writing it as a song? And how do you write a song for somebody who doesn't know how to write a song?
Well, from a lyric standpoint, most of my songs are based on something that's occurred in my life. And I don't necessarily, it's not a name names kind of thing, but it's situational or life crisis or life situation kind of thing. And I can kind of write them. I try to write them so other people can identify with it without being personal to me exclusively. So sometimes you'll have a jam and you'll hear music and you'll get an idea from the sound of the, like if it's an upbeat song, you might have something good that's happened in your life that you're, it's more of a, emotional type of song, then you fit something else to it. And that was always my strong suit, was kind of using words to go music. I enjoy doing it. So
now you having the backbeat, you being the drummer, do you come to the other guys in the band and say, "Hey, I have this backbeat," or do you play any other instruments? Like maybe can you piano it out, or do you kind of hum it out? La 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 la. I want to hear this.
There's this long-standing joke that I'm not a musician. I'm a drummer. So I don't play instruments other than percussion, and that's pretty much how we write a song. If I have an idea in my head, is I hum it to those guys and they turn it into chords. And, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like what I was thinking. And, we get there the hard way. When they write music, it comes quick. And sometimes I'll have an idea that spins something they've come up with, but they usually write the music and then I write the words to go to it. That's the formula.
You know what's funny, Spike, and I was I'm really into bagpipe music, and I had the opportunity back in the late 80s to go and see the Royal Regiments on parade. And let me tell you, this concert made me cry. But it's a drum and bugle, a drum and bagpipe corps. And I was talking to some of the guys afterwards, and you could tell the bagpipers were snooty because I said, wow, who works harder in this band? For some reason, I think that was the question that came out. And the bagpiper quickly chimed in and said, oh, we work for a living. And really just bashing the drummer. Like all he does is bang on it, because every kid, especially a lot of the boys in grade school, they're going to bang on their desk with a pencil to the detriment of their teachers. But that's a whole nother story. But I'm fascinated by musicians, especially musicians that have if not chucked all of it, because I know that you've had Joe jobs in your time, but chucked a lot of it or put a lot of effort into it, at least enough to play in front of people and to put out songs, be creative enough to put out music that you have developed yourself. Now, I'm going to go with Charlie on this one. You're the guitarist, man. I'm fascinated by guitar. I have at least 4 guitars in my house, an Ibanez, a Squier, an Esteban, and then my grandma just gave me a guitar that she's had since the 50s that she bought in Spain way back when. I had it restrung at the local guitar shop. I cannot play more than 3 chords, man. Tell me about your guitar
That's all you
playing.
need.
Oh, yeah, 2-finger Ted, like Ted Nugent, right? But no, tell me about your guitar playing. Where did that start?
Not to make a long story too long, but I actually got a guitar was given to me when I was about 5 years old from my aunt, acoustic guitar. And so, you're not really playing anything. You just strumming the strings. But my brother had a electric guitar, and of course I wasn't allowed to touch it. But until he left, for the day, and then I'd sneak in and play it, and I kind of taught myself. This is 5 or 6 years old. And but the only problem was my brother is left-handed, and I'm right-handed. So even though I thought I was getting away with something, actually when I got my own guitar, I had to figure out everything reverse. So I really didn't get anywhere with that. But anyways, I took lessons, and I've studied music, high school, college, and a lot of independent study and things like that. And it's one of those things that, you gotta put the time into it. And a lot of people get frustrated and they give up, and because they compare themselves, to other people that have been playing for a long time. The way I look at it is, if somebody had been playing as long as me, they would probably have, equivalent skills, but you can't compare yourself to somebody that's been playing their whole life, just like if I tried to DJ, I'd be all thumbs, and I'm sure you're smooth,
I do all right. They keep calling me back, but it's hard having Jimi Hendrix as your brother. The only left-handed guitarist I can think of. So I'm guessing he was your brother, and you picked up his guitar.
Exactly, and that's the thing is Jimi Hendrix took a right-handed guitar, and then he flipped it over and restrung it as a left-handed. So, it gets crazy when you think about it. And luckily, when I took lessons, I was all straightened out by that time. So it's a lot of fun. And, any instrument that you play, it's a good release. It takes your mind off of what you're doing. And, it's one of those things that I think everybody should try to learn to play an instrument of something, of some kind, because I think it's really good for you. It's good for your brain.
Yeah.
Wait, before you say, Charlie, I learned that bit of trivia about Jimi Hendrix stringing his guitar upside down from Andrew Dice Clay in The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Do you remember that one line? Yeah, that is where, my guitar. But Spike, you were going to say?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, if anybody out there is interested in playing drums, you need really cool parents and really cool neighbors, because drums don't have a volume knob, so everybody's going to get to hear you get better or get worse. Play at 10 o'clock at night. But I had really cool parents, and I always think of them when I do things that are related to music, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. So it was cool.
Yeah,
Spike.
He must have cooler neighbors too.
Yeah,
they
but
were cool.
Spike, Charlie got his guitar from his great aunt, from his wonderful, very fantastic aunt, who little did she know was going to shape his life forever. But, when you give drums to a kid, it's usually the kid of the parents you don't like. So.
Well, I was the only child, and I begged for him for a couple years and was hitting things that weren't drums, and finally convinced them to just. They knew I was going to keep hitting things, so they just gave me things that were supposed to be hit, and it worked out. But yeah, not for everybody.
Well, yeah. Spike, I mentioned that I used to bang on my desk, and my teacher didn't like it. But all through high school, I perpetrated like I was some kind of a drummer. I went to the local guitar shop and grabbed a purple set of drumsticks, and I kept them in my pocket probably all through my junior and senior year. Thinking that I was something, just trying to find my identity. I wanted to be a drummer, never became a drummer. But RJ, man, what are you playing, and how long have you been playing?
Well, let's see. So I started playing bass in high school, and I had a guy that was in my high school that had loaned me his bass, and he actually went on to tour with Foghat and Savoy Brown playing bass. Yes. And so it was pretty cool that he, lent it to me. And, I just started, I grew up and kind of isolated in upstate New York. I actually grew up on a farm. So I was, the only music that I could be exposed to was the albums that my older brothers bought.
And what albums were those, if you remember?
So it was mostly like the Beatles and Pink Floyd.
So which one did you like better, Beatles or Pink Floyd?
So I liked them both. I like to sing to the Beatles, but then I like to play bass to Pink Floyd, and like I think "Money" was like one of the first songs that I learned to play bass to.
Heck of a bass line.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Heck of a bass line. Doom,
yeah.
Doom, doom, doom.
Yeah.
That's a great place to start. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So pluck or strum on the bass?
Both. Strum, not too much, but definitely I use a pick and my fingers a lot, and it's whatever the song needs.
Man, RJ, you say you started on the bass. A lot of the a lot of the bassists that I've been talking to on this podcast and throughout my life, on the radio and what have you, most of them started out as guitarists, and then they became bassists because the band needed a bassist. And okay, I'll pick up the bass. It's like they settled for that. But you say you started in bass. What?
Yeah, I started. I mean. When I was in high school, I played trumpet, but I learned, I taught myself how to play violin. I was not good at it, but I taught myself how to play it. When I started listening to the Beatles, I heard like When I'm 64, and my sister happened to be playing clarinet in high school. So I grabbed her clarinet and learned to play that line from When I'm 64 on clarinet.
See, now you get inspired by listening to the greats. We're all standing on the shoulders of giants, right? But the Beatles definitely, they had in their catalog, they had such a repertoire. I'm listening to a podcast probably a couple days ago, and they were talking about the Beatles. They were playing with sitars and just experimenting with different instruments. But to pull out a clarinet, like Jethro Tull pulling out the flute. I want to be a rock and roll star, Mummy. Shut up and play the flute. And he ends up being a rock and roll star. How much have you experimented with the Shrubs? And anybody could take this one. Have you experimented with other instruments besides the normal, the guitars, the drums, maybe a keyboard, and there are two other people in the band?
No, it's just the three of us.
Just the three of you. Okay, so between the three of you,
besides me, those two.
So between the three of you, what other instruments have you experimented with? You got drums, you got the bass, and you got the guitar. But what else have you brought into the?
We've experimented with a lot, Dan, and like even in our recordings, we've done piano, organ. Spike's done all sorts of different percussion effects and things like that, and not just a standard drum set. Kazoo. Because we would play punk songs at a lot of the early parties and things like that. We would do punk versions of all sorts of songs. Like we do Patsy Cline, Bing Crosby, a Three Dog Night. We do like punk versions of those. We pull out a kazoo and start, anything to make noise, and people just love that.
Well, RJ played the kazoo at the part. Like we played the Cars, and whenever the keyboard would come in, he would have the kazoo hooked to his microphone, and he would actually play the kazoo instead of a keyboard because it was great.
I had that kazoo taped to my microphone.
That is incredible, man. Every kid gets a kazoo, a little plastic whatever, at a birthday party, and then becomes a rock star, instantly, because that's all you have to do is hum into that instrument. Anybody that's listening that has never picked up an instrument, pick up a kazoo. They'll make you feel good about yourself. If you think, oh, I can't play anything, pick up a kazoo. All you got to do is hum. Can you hum? Yeah, you can play. You can play a kazoo and accompany yourself. Have some fun out there, and then maybe you'll broaden your horizons and go further. But I'm listening to your music, and before I haven't read any bio on you. I didn't know how long you'd been together, but before I even started talking to you, judging by the listening to music, your influences from the 60s, from the 70s, I knew there was punk. I knew there was Beatles. I knew there was Pink Floyd in there. The influences that are on those songs, you come from that era and you bring it to the kids today. Now, what's funny is about 10 years ago, I had a little girl come up to me at a show, and I think it was an 80s show, and she asked me, "Hey, how come there's no new 80s music?" just the question, she was so cute, and I said, "No, what year is it? Did I just go back in time? I don't know. Am I the Terminator? But no, it was a cute question, and I think one of my other favorite questions was Paul McCartney in another group before Wings? Yeah, yeah. So I mean, inspiration. I think so. Yeah, inspiration. We already know RJ got the Beatles and the Pink Floyd from his brother. Let's go with other inspiration. Charlie, who inspired you musically as you were coming of age, and who was playing the records for you? Everybody's got an older brother or older cousin.
Absolutely, and I credit my older siblings. Same thing. When I was a kid, I didn't have any money, so I got the hand-me-down records. So my older siblings, had, the Beatles and the Stones and, stuff like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, things like that, which to me, it was my own album, and I would just sit there and play the thing to death. And because I didn't have any money, I was like, I love that stuff. And I didn't have that many albums, so I just kept playing them over and over again, and then I started to learn the guitar parts and things like that. So yeah, I think, everybody, if you're lucky enough to have family and siblings, I think that happens to a lot of younger kids. And then, when I got older and I could afford to buy music, my tastes were everywhere. And I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of gel together so much, is because we're always changing what we're doing. We try to, it might sound similar, like from song to song, but we actually try to not get stuck in any kind of like pigeonhole, like we're doing the exact same type of song, right after each other. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that is fantastic, man. In my room, I had the turntable and the 8-track combination. I remember the first 3 8-tracks. I don't think I ever said it on this podcast before, but I had the Eagles' Greatest Hits, Stevie Wonder's Superstition, and Steve Martin's Wild and Crazy Guy, over and over and over again. And those were that's the first taste of music that I had for my whole life. But you had stuff that was guitar driven. So, I mean, you had to have picked out those licks and just really tried to practice on that original acoustic guitar that your auntie gave you. I mean, what were you trying to learn first off, Charlie?
Actually, the first, I just remembered the first record I actually inherited from my sister was the Beatles' Ticket to Ride. I don't know if you remember that song.
Come on.
And I played that thing to death, and I tried to figure out the chords and all that. And actually, I think it was played, some of it was played on a 12 string. So of course you can only do so much with a regular acoustic guitar, but you still give it a shot and you try to do the best you can. And that was one of the things I was starting to talk about with the kazoo was, being a 3-piece band, a lot of people are used to a full band. So we're trying to fill up as much musical space as we can. We're playing as fast as we can and trying to fill in all the gaps, trying to avoid any pauses or silence or anything like that. So it's always been a challenge, but it's fun too, because you're constantly busy and, it's never a dull moment.
Trivia question. ZZ Top a real band? Rush, are they a real band? I'm talking about 3 pieces right here. 3 pieces, man. Yeah, I think you got it. That's the minimum for a rock band is you need those 3 pieces. Although I was on Tobacco at Tobacco Road, which is a little club in North Miami, if I'm not mistaken, and they had an open mic night. And I remember one of my favorite things was a bass guitar and a guy beating a bucket. There was 2 Mexican guys, and it was a bass and a bucket. And they had me enthralled for about 20 minutes that they were up there. Boom, 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 pow, 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 pow. I mean, you don't need much. And I guess that's the White Stripes, isn't it? Where it's just a 2-piece band.
Yeah.
But man, you got the backbeat. And Spike, let's go with you, man. Who inspired you to beat on those drums? Because I already got that you got the drums at an early age. From your parents, man, and good on them for supporting you.
Yeah, the 2 biggest to me were both drummers that happened to come from power trios. One was Stuart Copeland from the Police.
Yeah.
The other was the late great Bill Peart from Rush, and both of those guys were extremely different types of drummers. I mean, Stuart Copeland was a punk basher with some tasty stuff, and Neil was this super clinical, progressive guy, but they both appealed to me and they both hit really hard. I mean, those guys really played hard, and I just loved the energy from that. And I liked the music that, the bands that they belonged to. And that's all I needed. I was constantly trying to play what those guys were playing, and they pushed me pretty hard because, they're the best in my opinion. That's what got me going, though. That's what really pushed me.
Spike, first of all, I was this years old, like today, like right now, when I first learned how to say Neil Peart's name, because I've been saying Neil Peart my whole life. Come on. I even worked on a classic rock station. I'm saying, come on. Really? Is it Neil Peart?
Yeah, I know. Well, he always he said, well, how do you say ear, is that you don't say it's ear. So Neil Peart, I mean, that was he would surprise so many people, and I mean, I admit when I was younger, that's how everybody said it. At least everybody in the United States, everybody in Canada probably had it right, but yeah.
Well, it took till he passed, my goodness, for me to figure it out. Not that it makes much difference now, but shoot.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for teaching me something. This is a learning podcast right here, fellas. Spike, and you say you were hitting hard, man, and you talked about another 3-piece band, a fantastic 3-piece band, and Sting with his bass lines. RJ, who else is inspiring you on bass lines? And tell me, go ahead and say Sting. Go ahead and say Sting.
Yeah, okay. Definitely Sting. Yeah, definitely Sting, because when Spike and I started jamming, I mean, that's what we played. We played the Police because we had that common, like of the Police. So, we started. I think the first song that we started jamming on was Roxanne, and neither of us could sing it, but we definitely had it down.
Oh,
Yeah.
first. Oh, Spike.
Yeah, and we played quite a few Police songs in our early sets. We probably had 5 or 6 Police songs in a night. And people loved it.
Yeah, I could see that. So you started off as a cover band, but Spike, I want to know where your drum set from. Is it minimal or is it Neil Peart? Is it because his drum set was phenomenal. Him and Tommy Lee even in Motley Crue.
Yeah.
I saw the Crew back in, I guess it had to be the mid '90s maybe, and Tommy Lee was coming down from the ceiling, turning upside down and playing. Just crazy. But I mean, how many pieces in your drum set, and do you need all that amount of drums?
That's a fantastic question because when I first started playing, before we gigged, I had a pretty good size setup. I mean, I could add here and there and everything. It was pretty, not gigantic, but it was bigger than your classic 5-piece set. And we started to gig, and I would get to the show, and I would be setting up for an hour.
Yes.
And the show would be over with, and everybody's home, and I'd be taking my drum set apart, and it's like, this is great on paper, but when you're gigging and you've got no roadie, the big kit ain't exactly what you want. So I pared it down a lot more, and I did get a friend of mine to help me be a roadie, but for a while it was a much smaller set after I learned life on the road without.
Man, I've said it before.
The sound check.
The
sound check. Yeah, we'd all be like Charlie and I'd be sitting there going, "Oh, okay, it's time for the sound check." You're still setting up.
No, I've said it before. I've been looking for a roadie since 1986. That is the worst part of the show, is the setting up and the tearing down. Once you're in it, oh my goodness, you get a good groove. You got a crowd that's responding. Oh, that's love. It's just love exchanged back and forth. That is the reason that people play, music for the people. The setting up and the tearing down, I can imagine. And the drummer, man, I feel for you. That is the worst of the worst. A singer, a guitarist, it's pretty much just a plug and play. But a drummer to set it up the way he needs it, I feel for you, man.
Well, see, we had a good. We had a good setup because the guy who helped set up the drums also was the light man. So we designed our own lighting system, and so we had him running it when he's not setting up drums.
Well, that's the way it has to be. I mean, as a DJ, it used to be I was just 2 turntables and a microphone. Now I'm the lighting guy. Now I'm the MC. Now I'm the, I'm the promoter. I'm the guy making the flyers. I'm the guy, papering the streets, if I, so to speak, making the events. You got to be everything to everything. But you say you have a roadie that at least goes with you. You have at least one guy that's doing some of the work, helping you with the legwork.
Yeah, well, he was a college friend of mine. He happened to be a drummer, and he loved the whole scene. So he would come to the shows, and then because he was a drummer, it worked out really well for me because he knew how to help set up, and he could actually get behind the kit and do sound checks and stuff. And he was looking for stuff to do while we were actually playing the show, so he jumped on the light show. And interestingly enough, back then, when you're doing a light show annually, the guy who plays drums actually is pretty good at it because he's, it's a physical to the beat kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
It really worked out pretty well, and everybody got paid with beer.
Spike, give credit where credit is due. Do you remember the guy's name? I like to give shout outs to the people that help us out along the way.
Yeah, Maddie. His name's Maddie.
Say that name again. You cut out.
Oh, sorry. Maddie Canino. We called him Matt the Light Man Canino.
Excellent, man. Now, did he make his own lights, or were they all store bought?
Oh, we made everything.
Coffee cans. I remember my first light set was coffee cans.
But we designed a digital controller for it, though.
Yeah. In our other life, we were electrical engineering people. So during our day job, instead of working, we would sit there and come up with ideas for our own light board. And at night, we would work on them and build them. And Yeah, we drank a lot of coffee just to get enough cans for our setup too. We were buying coffee just for the can.
I buy coffee for the coffee as well. I had my first set of lights was Cafe Bustelo lights, and you know what's in my cabinet still? Cafe Bustelo espresso, straight from Miami. You know that's the stuff I drink. I've been drinking it my whole life, man, since I was a kid. My grandpa, is Cuban, so I'm half Cuban from Miami. Who would have thought? Really, a Cuban from Miami? Come on. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think we had the Folgers light show.
Yeah.
Fantastic, man. And you get
spray painted black.
Yeah, you get little, little gels to put in front to kind of give you the idea. But you're okay. But Spike and RJ, you mentioned earlier that you were in community college. And for anybody listening, community college is still college. I've been to college a bunch of times. But RJ, what were you studying when you went to school?
So both of us were studying electrical technology. So we were actually the first two, I think, out of our class to actually get a job too. So we must have been pretty good at electrical technology.
Well, that's good, man. It's nice to have a day job, a steady paycheck, something to supply insurance. People that think that they're going to get into the music business and make a living, you realize a lot of musicians don't have insurance. You're gonna go. Right. You're gonna go with the pain. That molar that's coming in. The arm hurts from all that playing. Because you don't have insurance. But it's nice. It's nice to have a day job. I have a day job. It's got insurance. I love it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what job did you end up doing?
Side by side for what, 8 years or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because by day we would work together at our day job, and then we would talk about our gig that night, and we'd get all ready and then leave work and go do our music stuff. So, one paid the bills, one didn't, but we had a good time.
Yeah, the one's good for your soul, and one, sucks it away. I won't say which one. But what kind of work was an electrical engineer? What kind of things were you doing? Designing what?
So we worked for a company in Ithaca, New York, they designed filters for data acquisition systems. And so we worked as a technician for about 8 years, and basically all we did was get these things ready to ship. Yeah.
Okay. And both of you working side by side, doing the same thing, kind of an assembly line job, or an actual sit at a desk thinking and drawing on paper?
No, we had to troubleshoot electronics and do calibration and testing and data and reports, and it was pretty in depth from a technological side. So it kept being boring because they had a lot of different stuff going on. So it exercised our minds pretty good.
Yeah, my stepdad was an electronic engineer. He didn't like me too much, but he did help me build a synthesizer 1 year. I think it was 11th or 12th grade, like an 8-octave synthesizer, which was kind of cool, man. Soldering on a board, and this is back in '84. I think I was learning Apple. Apple computers in school, but to have this as a home project was kind of neat, man. Building, the circuit boards and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. Now, Charlie, when you got out of school after you taught yourself how to play the guitar, all the chicks are falling at their feet because you're the man with the axe. That's why guys learn how to play guitar. It's for the chicks, baby. No, but after school or during school, were you playing guitar all through your high school days, and did you go to college as well?
Yeah, I played. In school, we had there wasn't really a guitar program. You had this jazz. There was like a jazz band, and then there was like the orchestra band and that. And I didn't actually participate in that part of it. But after hours, there would be a group of people, drummer, bass player, a couple guitar players would just go in and jam. This is where we were like probably, I don't know, 15, 16 stuff. And then I had other garage bands that I was playing with at that time too. And It's funny though that you mentioned the girls and that, because when I went to Florida, I didn't know that much about Florida, so I would go down there with all my Molly Hatchet and my Leonard Skinner and my Allman Brothers, and I think, boy, the chicks are gonna love me down there. I get down to Orlando, and all the chicks I met were listening to like Kool and the Gang, Commodores, and stuff like that, which is cool. I mean, I like those guys too, but it's just like, it's like how something isn't exactly how you think it's going to be, or how should I put that? Things aren't always how you expect them to be, and but I still had a good time down there, and I like Florida. It's a little hot in the summertime, but anyways, I did go to college, and I was in TV radio actually, and I actually learned to DJ. Spinning vinyls, 45s and that, and we had a college radio station. It wasn't powerful to broadcast a large geographic area or anything, but it was fun. And I actually toyed around with the idea of starting like one of your gigs, like doing DJing, and I think that's actually pretty smart, because it's kind of you can play. I know DJs that are like playing all the time, and I know they work their butts off too. But it just seems like with bands, it's hard to, even before COVID and all that. You can only play the same place so many times, and then you got to kind of move around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's nice that you have that versatility, man. If you had to, you could fall back on it. And I talk to a lot of musicians, and me not able to play all that much. I have a full piano that my 15-year-old daughter plays, and she's wonderful. And then I have all these guitars that I mentioned before, and there's a harmonica in the house, and I can't play a lick. But I DJ since 1986. I can play everybody else's songs. And one of the reasons that I got on radio was to promote other people, which is what I'm doing with you, Shrubs, the Shrubs. I know we've been talking about like your life and where you came up to here, but man, it's nice to learn from people, and how anybody can go to your website and find out about you, or go to your Facebook. I'll say it's the-shrubs.com. That's like the place to go, and then there's links to all your various social media. Anybody can go and listen to the music, but I like to learn about the people behind the music. What makes you tick, man? And I'm learning a lot about you guys, man. I got RJ, Spike, and Charlie of the Shrubs, man. And we're just chit-chatting. But, when you went down to Florida and you caught wind of the disco scene, I was in the disco scene, but then I've also been in the classic rock scene too, man. I liked it all when I was growing up. AC/DC on the back of the bus back in 1980 was my jams, but then Kool and the Gang and Casey and the Sunshine Band lived down the street. Harry Casey lived down the way, man. And I got involved with all of them as well. The last radio station I was working at was freestyle and disco, but go ahead.
And Dan, I'm sure that, when you're playing parties and bars, you got to play music. You got to play a little of everything. You can't just, put yourself, in one category, because, you're going to have a very limited audience. And so that was one of the things we learned early on was, we'd be playing White Christmas,
But it's July.
Joy to the World, all these songs punked out, and people love that stuff because it kind of connects on both sides. The hardcore punk people would love it, and then people that were just into they want to hear a song that they know. And so, that's really important. I'm sure you've seen that in your performances and that. So,
mashups were huge about a few years ago when Glee was big. Where you would mash up two songs that you think would not go together, but then here's Billie Jean and Nights in White Satin, mixed up together just and you're like, what? Did that just happen? Yeah, you mixed them together, but yeah, going back and forth. forth. But I always start at the 80s because that's the music I like. And then I work my way out, and or I find out, hey, what year the birthday boy graduated high school, whatever year that is, that's probably what the music that he likes. That's probably where he wants to start, But you guys, did you graduate around the 80s? Did you graduate high school around then?
82 for me.
82 for Spike. RJ?
I'm not going to answer that question.
He doesn't want to age himself. He doesn't want to. You know what?
I don't want to age myself.
You know what's funny? When I turned 50, before I turned 50, I was so vain. I never wanted to give away my age. And I was like, oh my gosh, But then as soon as I turned 50, I was Sally O'Malley. I'm 50. I can kick and stretch and kick. I'm 50. And now I'm 51 years old, man. I'm 1 year removed from Sally O'Malley. So, but yeah, man, I don't worry about age so much. Before that, and I worried about losing my hair, and no, thankfully I still have a full head of hair. My younger brother, bald as can be, but we age, but you got to age gracefully, man. You're still doing what you love, no matter what age you are. Yeah. So RJ, once again, how old are you? No, I'm kidding. No, but what year did you graduate, Charlie?
83.
83. All right, so we chewed kind of the same dirt. Maybe you're a couple years older than me, but when you first started as the Shrubs, you were playing covers, like you were doing a cover band. Man, a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of people think they got to do originals to make a living. You could be a good cover band and make a decent living. But how many songs did you have in your repertoire, Charlie, before you went out on the road?
I would say we probably started with around 30, and then if the night was going good, we'd recycle some of them and bring them back out again. And a lot of times, certain parties, I'm sure you run into this too, where people want to hear the same song again because they liked it so much. So they'll pass the hat around or what have you. So it's always been whatever the people want to hear, we'd play it. But we expanded a lot, and actually one of the interesting things I was talking to Spike about the other day was we lost count of how many different cover songs we played. And it's every once in a while we hear one on the radio and go, "Holy crap, we used to play that one too." It's insane. And we're talking like over 100 songs.
Yeah, well, we would say, our gigs when we did and stuff would be 3 hours. Yeah. We do like 3, 45, 50-minute sets and with short breaks. So we had to have a lot of stuff.
That's a good cover band. About 15 songs per hour is how it averages out if you play the songs true to themselves. Now, you can always stretch that out, man. You can just start jamming after a while and talk over it and do a little storytelling. Hey, this song came out back in 1967, and the guy was, he was fueled by heroin and, what have you, But
a lot of our stuff was mostly about, hey, look at the drunk guy over there, let's make fun of him for a while.
And that was the guitarist, right? Because you were paid in beer. And Spike has said it several times.
We did play a gig once, and we were set up on people's front porch. And Charlie was over on the right side of the porch, and RJ was on the left side, and I was in the middle. And people had been drinking all afternoon, and Charlie fell off the porch. But we could still hear like guitar coming on, and like he was like in this hedgerow. He fell off. He was still trying to play, and so people kind of pulled him out of the bushes, and
he was literally in the shrubs.
Hey, that's a consummate professional, man, still playing, and the band played on. Well, since you mentioned your own name, and that's usually the part of the movie that I really enjoy is when they say the title of the movie. You said the Shrubs. How did the name come about? Who wants to take that question? How did the name the Shrubs come about?
Spike, you do that one.
Yeah, I can do that. When RJ and I were working together, we were forming the band. We were trying to come up with a name. So we gave a bunch of our coworkers a list of names to pick from, and they got back to us, and Shrubs finished last. So because we were young anarchists, we picked the one they liked the least. And, that that's all it was. It was just we just played it.
It's a good name for the type of music that you play.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, we had some pretty interesting entries into our list of songs, like Piggy Pucker and
Dumpster Juice was another one.
Dumpster Juice.
Yeah.
This is back in the 80s? Come on, you're getting these names?
Dead last.
Yeah.
Wait, this is the 80s that you're naming this band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Late 80s.
And these are the names that are coming up. These are pretty cool, man. This is good. This is like on the edge thinking. But the Shrubs is a great name for a band from the 60s, really. And you're playing this what is it that I read on your bio that it's what would you classify the genre? Alt, prog? I hate to put it in a box because there is no box, man. But when you're putting your stuff up on Apple iTunes or Spotify, what's the genre that you have to check off on the box?
I'd say alternative.
Yeah, alternative rock, pop punk.
It's rock party music.
Yeah,
for us. I mean, people ask me, "What do you sound like?" I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You sound like us. I don't know,
Yeah, you sound like the Shrubs, and that's fantastic. Yeah. So, you started off as a cover band, but when did you start filtering in? And what year did you start filtering in the original songs, or just one time you said, "Hey, you want to hear an original song?" And the whole crowd said, "No, we don't." Keep playing the hits.
we had one original song that the crowd really loved. It's called Cripple Wren.
Okay.
And that was one song that we used to play out because people would request it.
It was a drinking song, Yeah. But I don't know, what year was that? Like we probably did cover stuff for maybe a year and a half, and we're working on stuff, and then we slowly kind of said, "Here's one of ours," and played it, and people liked the stuff. So we just kind of we kept it mostly covers because that's what people wanted to hear, but we slowly fed them a diet of our stuff, and people liked it.
Well, because at 51 my memory's going blank, what year did you form?
It's like 86, 87.
Yeah. Somewhere around there, 85 through 87.
So somewhere between 85 and 87. But are you playing only, since 87, are you playing only originals, or when have you made the switch over? Is it 2080, or is there a percentage of songs that you're playing covers and then playing originals as well when you get on stage?
Dan, it's always a challenge because we write some of the songs we write, our originals are fairly complex. And you know how it is. I'm sure you run into this, DJing. We would play a song like that's highly complicated, and it takes a lot of work and rehearsal, and we wouldn't get much audience response. And then we whip out something like Wild Thing or My Generation, and the crowd would just go wild, So you got to mix it up. I find that we still can't play all originals. It'd be rare that we would do that, Yeah.
Hey, time will tell, man. It's only been 30 years, and you got at least another 30 more. That wasn't a jab, man. That wasn't a jab. That wasn't a dig, really. It really wasn't. No, but, like I said, man, you can make a good living as a party band, as doing covers. But originals is what you want to do. Spike has taken the time to write in these lyrics, and all three of you have taken the time to put your own input into them. And make little babies, little baby songs that you put out in the world, and you try to play them in front of people. Hey, look what I made for you. Do you like it? You want that response, man. But you already said that you've had some groupies, you've had some people that follow you from place to place. I mean, is that pretty cool? I mean, what's the response when you start playing these original songs, especially that one that gets a good response? How do you feel when that comes out?
Well, it's good stuff. I mean, there was actually a time where people didn't play enough originals, and we were surprised at that. I mean, I remember that kind of caught us off guard because we had come out with back then it was cassette tapes mostly, but we had come out with one, and we really weren't playing a whole lot of it. People actually started asking us, "So how come you're not playing more of your stuff?" So that was kind of that was refreshing, actually.
It's hard
And
to get
Dan-
the bars with originals, though, so we had to be able to play covers in order to get the bars.
Yeah.
And Dan, the amazing thing, of course, now in being in the business is that it's all about social media. And the really cool thing is like with Facebook, we still have people that were at parties like in, 88 that will like chime in and say, oh, do you remember that party at, so-and-so's house? That was wild. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've done thousands and thousands of events, and I still remember the handful or two that were just so amazing. Being at that place. Yeah. Oh, just that memory makes me smile. And for an entertainer, a musician, and I don't care if you juggle, man. You juggle in front of people, and they all respond to it and clap. You're like, yeah, I feel so good. You get those endorphins. It makes you feel good, man. It's the best high. It's better than any high. And I imagine that's why some musicians get into trouble, because when they get off stage, they want that high still. And and they got to try to find it some other way. But thankfully, you're working musicians. Yeah. But the two of you, Spike and Charlie, you're in New York. I never even got to how RJ made his way over to San Diego, which I've been to. I took the 10 out to the 8 and did a party out there in some millionaire's house I think it was really? 2004 or 5. I was there. It was wonderful.
You almost have to be a millionaire to live here.
No, I had my equipment out on the next to the pool, and I said, "Hey, should I bring my equipment in overnight in case it rains?" He said, "No, it's not going to rain. It's not going to rain. Never rains. No. Nope." So, what took you to San Diego?
I actually went back and got an electrical engineering degree, and that was my job. I got a job out here, and I moved out here. So I stayed out here for a while, and for a while I never even touched my bass. And then finally, when these guys started, Spike was like, "Oh, we're remixing some stuff," and I'm like, "Okay, I pull out." I was remodeling my house, and all my stuff was in the garage piled up, and so I started pulling it out and plugging it in and see what worked and what didn't work. And so I replaced the stuff that didn't work. And finally I got all my equipment back to where it was. And I'm like, oh, I can start playing bass again.
Oh, that's so cool. RJ, man. But you got to San Diego. Well, okay. I mean, we can go with current events. The 2 in New York and the 2 in San Diego, were you playing? Well, before I start asking about COVID-19 and the lockdowns and stuff, had you been playing all the way up until the time you went to San Diego, and what year was that?
That was 95.
So from 85, 87, whatever year it was, until 95, you were a working band playing. Yeah, and to give all that up.
We wrote three albums worth of original music in that between 85 and 95.
Amazing. And to give all that up and go to San Diego, yes, to make a good living for your family. I'm sure it was a hard decision still to leave the band, to leave all that music behind. And Spike and Charlie, what did you do after RJ left? Did you continue playing?
I think we all took a hiatus in one form or another. This band, obviously. I always played drums, so I kind of had them there, and I kind of just kept playing, whether I was playing along to records or CDs, I guess technically. But I always wanted to play. I mean, for me, playing drums is it's almost like a meditative thing when you're playing, and it's a cardio thing. And it's something just part of me. So for me, all those years, I kind of just kept playing, whether I was in a band, recording, gigging, or anything. It was just something I did. So never left music, even though it was not what it was for a while.
But Spike, not playing out in front of anybody, just playing on your own?
Yeah, no, just my own. And I, kind of gave me a chance to woodshed and actually sort of take time to explore the drums, because kind of you can get in ruts. I mean, there's a lot of things who kind of back and reevaluated how they played and taught themselves, explored more, I guess. So that was a good time for me to just become more exploratory with the instrument and other types of percussion, and in the hopes that someday I would once again be gigging or recording or doing something. And it did work out, so it was good. All good.
And then Charlie, from 95 until your reunion, what were you doing?
I did play in a couple other cover bands, so I did that for a while, and I was doing writing, doing some experimenting. I also play piano in that too, so I did some. There's websites out there where you can collaborate with people like around the world, and what you do is you can upload a file, or somebody else will upload a file, and then you take that track and then you add your part to it, and then you submit it, and then other people kind of add their little piece to it, and you come up with these collaborations. So that's a lot of fun too, and it keeps you playing, and it keeps you writing and composing and arranging and things like that. So it was I never stopped playing, and we never like said, that's it, we're through. We just kind of like, we still keep in touch and say, hey, have you heard this new, have you heard this album and that? And we'd like be, talking back and forth. And then little by little, we started remixing stuff. Spike and I were both in New York. So, that lended itself to accommodating, remixing, face to face.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
Once we started getting a process down, then, of course, we pulled RJ in, and, it all gelled again. So it was great.
It's amazing. This internet can be used for good. I was talking to a gentleman, guitarist from Australia, who has a drummer in Germany, who has a bass guitarist in the Middle East somewhere, and they mix it all down and they're making wonderful, wonderful music. It's harder to get together and tour when you're all living in different places, but you could still make music together. So when was the reunion? When did you start remixing all your older stuff and start coming up with new music? How long ago was that?
What was that? I don't know, 6 or 7 years, perhaps, maybe.
So
somewhere in there.
I think it was more than that. I think it was 10 years ago I think it was over 10 years ago that you and I were remixing things, and then we were bouncing stuff off of RJ and things.
Yeah.
He got to a point where he could, put the time into it, and it's been full throttle since then.
Yeah,
so,
but I think the stuff that we were remixing was Another Day Goes By, and that we actually ended up releasing that in 2018. So that was a long project.
Yeah, that was sort of getting our feet wet with the whole process of the modern day digital audio workstations and stuff, because the techno geek, it was kind of cool. The musicians, drummer, or whatever I am, it was kind of cool. So I could mix both worlds together. So I was hungry to learn the technology, and it was kind of once we were able to bring our old material into the digital world, remix it, release it to the public and to a much bigger audience, and people liked it, then that was kind of neat. And then moving forward made it a lot easier because all three of us got involved in the process, and that's where everything is today. And in the current pandemic situation, it's almost the only way you can work. I mean, Charlie and I live 15 miles apart, and we still don't collaborate in person.
Yeah, I mean, the internet is helping to bring people together. It can be used for good. You don't have to just tweet a bunch of nonsense out there. You can get together with people. But I'm glad that you got back together. You know what's funny in that first sentence on when you got back together, you were like 10 years ago. I still think of 10 years ago as the 90s, and that time just slips away, man. Yeah, exactly. Time just it just keeps on slipping into the future, But
yeah, oh yeah.
But all right. So tell me about New York lockdown. I heard it was just completely locked down, and then San Diego still locked down, or the California still locked down.
They just locked it down here for the next 3 weeks, and like all the restaurants are closed now. So it's like I'm really stuck at home.
I feel for you. Here in Arkansas, it feels like we didn't even have COVID. Yes, yeah. I have a bandana that I'll wear over my face because the scientists tell me to. They say, hey, if you wear this mask, you can go out and do stuff. Oh, okay, I'll do that. But then you guys don't have that luxury. Are you even able to get out of your house, or do you go to the grocery store? I mean, he's got his Shrubs
custom mask.
Fantastic. He's got Shrubs masks. Where can people find that mask? That's merchandising, man. That's where the real money in the movie's made.
It's one of a kind.
Oh, we got to get that. Yeah, we got to.
You don't tell me. One of a kind.
For limited. I don't do a whole lot. I mean, I do go to the stores, and I'm not locked in my house per se, but you don't go to the bars. There's no the way life used to be. It's just not like that. And unfortunately, in the area where I live in central New York, things have gotten considerably worse in the last couple of months. And I do know somebody who is my age who was in good health who did pass away from getting sick. And that prospect is kind of so too. So, all the more to reaching out to the technology side of life and the video communications, which has really improved a lot for personal and work experiences. And you just kind of have to embrace the technology because
last Friday, we actually there's a pretty famous bar out here called the Belly Up Bar that's in Solana Beach out here north of San Diego. And they had a band there that was live streamed. We bought tickets to it, and they gave us a password, and we live streamed it right in our house.
Yeah, the Facebook takeover. That's the latest thing. People have been taking over my Radio What Facebook page, and I think there's maybe almost 4,000 fans on there, but it's 4,000 people that they would not have had contact with before. And that's a pretty cool thing is helping people out, man, helping get the word out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dan, I think, you talked about the internet and, I think that's one of the things you got to do is not be negative all the time and look at the positive things that have come out of it. And, like your show, that What Makes You Famous is it's cool. I mean, I like listening to those episodes. The podcasts on YouTube are for anybody that's into like DIY musicians. I love listening to those things. I just like to hear like what other people are doing, and a lot of your guests are doing a lot of DIY stuff, and you have all different artists and things on there. I've seen you had like author or poets and all different genres of music and stuff. So I think that's really cool. It's just good information, and if you're stuck inside and you can't do anything, it gives you something interesting to listen to.
Absolutely, man. I listen to podcasts all day long, man. And I started this thing, was it February of last year, and just talking to people and finding out more. It gives me the opportunity. It's purely selfish, really. It gives me the opportunity to learn things from folks, and I get content, you get promotion, but we all learn from each other, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's win-win.
Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead.
I run a lot of the social media, like Instagram and Twitter, and I tell you, I've met a lot of really cool bands out there that now I'm friends with that I'll probably never meet in person, but there's a lot of really great bands out there.
Yeah, the indie music world is really cool because everybody's really got the same situation, and everybody's really supportive, and it's just nice to know that there's other folks out there doing what you're doing. They all support each other, and they're really good people. I mean, the bottom line is they're good people.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody 5 years ago asked, hey, what's your 5-year plan? What do you think you're going to be doing in 5 years? Nope, you're wrong, because 2020 sucked. But all right, 5 years from now, what do you think the Shrubs are going to be doing? And let's go with Charlie on this one. What are the Shrubs going to be doing in 5 years? Or what do you want out of this band?
I gave up on fortune, so I'll settle for fame.
Okay.
No, you know what? I just enjoy. I enjoy playing and writing and arranging and stuff. And so even if we didn't get any response from anybody, I would still be doing it. So, as long as I'm able to do it, I'll keep doing it, as long as we can. And if we do, I don't catch a break and we get out your way, maybe we'll play a gig near you and we'll hook up and we'll buy you a beer. We owe you one.
That would be fantastic. You owe me nothing. But Spike, wait, all three of you, RJ, are you a family man?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. And Spike, family?
Yeah, I have 2 adult children, college graduates, and so it's been music doesn't pay tuition very well.
No. What I'm getting at is I'm hoping that you're not going through this whole lockdown thing by yourselves. It's nice. No. It's good that you have somebody in the house to kind of, hey, it's nice to be married. It's nice to have a girlfriend or what have you. It's nice to have a partner in this life. Love, baby. That's what it's all about. Yeah. And I know that's why Charlie started that guitar. He's not admitting it. It's for love, man. It was to get the chicks. That's why people play guitar.
Dan, you bring up a great point, though, is the support network we've had for this band, between our friends and family and just people, even people like yourself and other internet radio stations and promoters and things that we really wouldn't be here if it wasn't. It's not just us, that's the thing about this band too. That's the other thing that keeps us going is, it's not about us anymore. We really, we just want to keep going. As long as people are digging it, we just going to keep doing it for that. We, make any money or not.
No.
Well, all right. I mean, now that people know a little bit about you, let's start to wind this thing down. I want to give you guys the opportunity to have a little free time to give shout outs to the people that have helped you out along the way. RJ, any avenues that you want to explore that you want to let people know about, or any shout outs that you want to give to people that have helped you along the way? RJ.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of people that have helped us out. Like we've, a couple bands out of Austin have really been good friends to us in promoting our stuff. So I'll give a shout out to Rye from the Metal Birds, because him and I have become pretty close and talking about, what's going on and what's next and sharing music and stuff like that. And, there's been a lot of bands like the Incurables. I don't know if have you interviewed the Incurables?
No, I think I talked to Rye though. Good dude, but I haven't. I don't know the Incurables, man. There's another band
they're
that you turned
Detroit,
me on,
and they're a really good band. They actually just since I've known them, they've gotten a record contract and everything, and we all shout out to each other. So
record contracts. How about that? Yay or nay?
Good work if you can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, people can do everything. World. People can do everything independent now. Spike, while you're giving your shout outs, what do you think about record companies and record contracts? Have you ever had to deal with them, or have you always been independent?
No, we've always been independent. I guess the upside to that is you own your music. The downside to that is you don't get the power of promotion from the big money, but we're okay with where things are at. When we started remixing our music, I literally thought it was for friends and family. I envisioned it getting to where people could see it that we didn't even know. Something that we've kind of come across has just been all this unexpected, really cool stuff, but we've never really had any kind of tie-in, kind of corporate anything. And I see that happening. I mean, I could be wrong, but we're content, the way things are for sure. It's all good.
All right, Spike, give the shout outs. Go ahead, RJ.
Sorry. So I think about, back when we were playing out live, we were happy if we could get somebody from the next town over to come see us. And now it's like, just on Spotify, I did our year-end wrap up. And we're heard in 62 countries. It's like we would have never have been able to do that, if it wasn't for the internet and independent these independent distributors.
The Shrubs, known all over the world. So Spike, give some shout outs, man. Anybody that has helped you along the way?
Well, obviously, foremost would be my parents for letting me get drunk and continue to bat day and night, whenever. That for me, that was all in the beginning. My touring life, Matty the Light Man Canino that I mentioned earlier, he was my right hand guy, and he moving all my stuff humanly possible. Yeah. And, friends and family have just been at all the gigs. I'll probably steal one of Charlie's guys, Brad Ordway. He let us use his house to practice, do our rehearsal. He hosted some parties where we first got our feet wet with playing. Just those people come to mind right away. Family, close friends, and anybody who helped us get going in the beginning.
Yeah. Charlie, any other avenues you want to explore or shout outs you want to give?
I'll echo everything Spike just said. And, we've got tremendous support system between friends, family, internet radio stations have been really great to us, including Radio Watt has been great. And again, I just want to shout out to you, KeysDAN, because I think it's cool what you're doing for these independent artists. It's giving people a chance to get out there and get some exposure. And really these days, I mean, that is the biggest thing now, is just, getting your name out there and, having a chance at, finding that person out there to discover you. Maybe you're not going to get a record contract, but, it's, all this work that you do to promote and give people exposure, you're not charging them anything. I just think that's awesome. And there's, beyond you, there's like other people that have done similar things, like Mike was saying about, the indie artists and the support group. It's just unbelievable. And
we just
means
thank
a lot.
everybody.
Well, good. What do you know what that group is? I mean, I don't mind promoting other radio stations, other podcasts, other people that have helped you along the way. Do you know that support group? What is that?
Well, I just meant in general.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've worked with like hundreds of internet radio stations, and but even just fans that have stuck with us since the 80s, and and maybe they can't come out and see bands and stuff like that, but they still buy our MP3s, and we've been through it all. Like we were selling cassettes out of our trunks, CDs, MP3s, and now streaming, and I mean all about the technology now, how complicated it is between that and social media. So it's just, it's a lot of work, but, if you get that one person there that either helps you out or they buy a stream or something, it makes it all worth it.
Well, for the kids out there listening, that was back in the 1900s. A lot has changed. A lot has changed, Grandpa. A lot. All right, so let's finish this thing off, man. The Shrubs. I've enjoyed talking to you. I look forward to talking to you again in the future. I don't want this to be the end, but as things progress, let's catch up from time to time. But I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. They could be words that you live by, a mantra, and I'll give each one of you a chance to give last words for the people. It could be, things that you live by, or it could just be whatever pops in to your head at this moment in time. RJ, you give the first last words for the people.
Okay. I think that persistence is really key, because it's, with our workflow, it's difficult. Being on the West Coast is definitely makes it more difficult to collaborate. But if you're persistent, it'll pay off, because I think some of the stuff we've come up with is pretty exciting, and we've got a lot more stuff coming down the line that we're working on.
Yeah,
Mr. Spike, last words for the people from you.
Yeah, well, I guess in the words of Neil Peart, all the percussionists and drummers out there, his quote was, "If you have a problem, take it out on a drum." And I think that really, to me, is like people just need to be kinder to each other and find ways to deflect some of the negativity going on in a constructive way. Okay. That's my takeaway, I guess, is in this world where there's so much tension and so much seemingly too much hostility, find alternative ways to expel that energy. So in my case, get the drums. There's other ways to do it for everybody out there.
Spike, thank you so much for teaching me how to say Neil Peart. You've changed my life. All right, Charlie, you're the one that I've been contacting the longest, the most. Last words for the people. And for those that are listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version, which I will have on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN, or just look up KeysDAN and look for the Radio What logo right next to my name. Charlie was flashing a shirt, said what was it you said?
Live united.
Is that your last words for the people?
No, I'll echo Mike's sentiments. Thanks to everybody out there that supported us, and we love everybody, and we're going to get through this all together, and peace, love, God bless. And like I said, any musicians out there, check out KeysDAN's What Makes You Famous podcast. There's a lot of good info and a lot of good DIY information. And it's awesome. I love it.
Well, there you have it, party people. The Shrubs. RJ, Spike, Charlie. It's a threesome. It's a trio. That's all you need for a rock group. And they sound awesome, man. I was listening to their music on their YouTube channel. I mean, they put it out there. Why don't you take a listen? It's good music, I'll tell you. And if you have the opportunity, buy some of their music on Apple and Amazon and iTunes. I mean, merely just check out their website. I got the website pulled up right here. It's the-shrubs.com. There you go. Go visit the Shrubs on their internet website. And, join them on their social media and find out more and listen more. Man, it was good talking to them. I appreciate them so much. I'm kind of sad that they're kind of far away from each other geographically, but this internet can be used for good, and they're using it properly, making more music for you, for me, for us to listen to. The Shrubs. Good to know. The Shrubs. Thank you so much for being on the program, the What Makes You Famous podcast. If you, now I'm turning my attention to you, would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.